during the presidential campaign, this was actually one of the economic arguments that was made by Donald Trump that made some sense. And I'm not kidding. I'm not being sarcastic. The arguments that he made about that particular scam in policymaking, there was something to it.
I've watched as politicians talked about stopping countries from leaving. Here's a zero-interest loan. You don't have to pay. Here's this. Here's tax abatement of any kind you want. We'll help your employees. It doesn't work, folks. That's not what they need. That's not what they have money. They want to go out. They want to move to another country. And because our politicians are so dumb, they want to sell their product to us and not have any retribution, not have any consequence. So all of that's over.
All of that's over. Our politicians are so dumb. They want to give these companies a zero-interest loan. You don't have to pay this. You want to give them a tax abatement. That's so over. That is so dumb. That is exactly what Donald Trump announced today at the Carrier plant in Indiana, where he did his big victory lap about saving jobs. He had campaigned throughout his entire campaign on how he was going to stop companies from shipping jobs overseas. Specifically, he campaigned on how he was going to stop Carrier from shipping jobs overseas, and he had a very specific way he was going to stop them from doing it. Not one of those dumb ways like other politicians have tried. He had his own way. His way would work.
I will call the head of Carrier, and I will say, I hope you enjoy your new building. I hope you enjoy your stay in Mexico. Every single air conditioning unit that you build and send across our border, you're going to pay a 35% tax on that unit. You're going to pay a damn tax. If companies want to fire their workers and leave for Mexico or other parts of the world, there will be a tax of 35% for any product they want to ship into this country. We will charge them a 35% tax when they want to ship their products back into the United States. And they won't leave, believe me. Those companies will not leave. But if you think you're going to make an air conditioning unit, Carrier, you know about Carrier, they're moving to Mexico, think they're going to make air conditioners and just send them right back into our country. No tax, no tariff, 1,400 people gone. Not going to happen. Because I'm going to just say very simply, you got a 35% tax to pay. With me, they have repercussions, okay? With me, they have repercussions. With me, we inform them that if you move, you're going to pay a 35% tax on every single air conditioner that pours across our now very secure borders.
With him, it turns out they don't have repercussions. None of that is what he did. There's not going to be some new tax on Carrier air conditioners being shipped from Mexico, first of all. Second of all, those units still are going to get shipped back to the United States from Mexico, because Carrier is still sending 1,300 jobs down there and shutting down their Huntington, Indiana plant in order to do it. And third, what Donald Trump did to convince the company to keep some of the jobs here that they were going to ship to Mexico, what he actually did was think Curt Schilling video game studio. That's what he did. He got Mike Pence to write him a check from the general fund of the state of Indiana. He put Indiana taxpayers, state taxpayers in Indiana, on the hook for $7 million that's going to be paid to this company, even though they're still sending 1,300 jobs to Mexico. Trump got elected for inveighing against that, for saying, oh, you give these companies loan guarantees, low-interest loans, zero-interest loans, tax abatements. All these dumb politicians do that. It's dumb. That is a terribly stupid thing that all of our terrible politicians have done in the past. It would not happen anymore under him. He would play hardball with him. There would be repercussions. Well, you know what? The only repercussion for Carrier is that they just got given $7 million in taxpayer money while still moving more than 1,000 jobs to Mexico and closing a plant in Indiana. That is what he took his victory lap for today in Indiana, for mostly not succeeding at doing the thing he said everybody else was stupid to ever do. Ta-da! One of the stories that Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker dragged into his presidential run like a big old paint can tied onto his bumper with string was the story of how he also found ways to give tens of millions of dollars in taxpayer money, to give those tens of millions of dollars away to companies that were either moving into his state or that he wanted to keep from moving out of his state. Scott Walker had a particular knack as Wisconsin governor for giving taxpayer money to companies that would take the money and then leave the state anyway. It didn't help him that companies he did that for tended to be run by his campaign contributors. It especially did not help when local reporters in Wisconsin turned up the fact that with one of those companies, Scott Walker gave them a ton of taxpayer money, they pocketed the taxpayer money, then they outsourced their jobs to another country anyway, and then after the fact, after all of that, after they took all that money from Scott Walker and then fired their Wisconsin workers, after they did that, Scott Walker then gave them more money. Gave them more Wisconsin taxpayer money. Gave them a second grant since they'd been so good.